Hello everyone and welcome back to Crystal Reef County here in sunny Florida. In the previous episode we built this high detail industrial district, of course using vanilla assets only, and in today's episode we're going to move across the massive interchange and start setting up the necessary infrastructure and road layout for what should eventually grow into the biggest metropolitan area and the capital city of Crystal Reef County. Now, whether you're new or regular here on the channel, you are of course very welcome on board as we're building Crystal Reef County, Florida. Our last ode to Cities Skylines 1 and our ultimate attempt at building a realistic looking Florida county while only utilizing vanilla assets. Now, if you haven't watched the first episode of this all new series, I highly recommend you go ahead and do that. It's more than an hour long and it covers everything you need to know about where we are in Florida and why we've chosen to start this project. And as always, if you enjoy my content, I would greatly appreciate liking, commenting, subscribing and enabling notifications, as it increases the reach of the channel and it puts me one step closer to taking a leave of absence from my job and committing completely to Cities Skylines and delicious cup noodles. So yeah, for the quick recap, branching off from the introduction, we built Riverbed, which is a temporary name. This is an industrial district using only vanilla assets and props and roads. We're more than 500 workplaces here, but obviously no workers, which is a bit of a problem, and we are absolutely bleeding money. We've spent about $100,000 from our budget so far, and we've got no income to speak of, so we're gonna have to change that in the coming episodes. We also expanded the main interchange here to create a better connection between this highway here, the industrial site, and the future city that we're going to be building in the coming episodes. A few of you had some great suggestions for how I can make this look a little better and a little more realistic, so I'll likely also be giving this a revamp in the future, in the near future. But before we get started laying out some of the fundamental like infrastructure and road layout of this new city, I'd like to extend the time period in which you can come with suggestions for names both for the industrial district and the city. So if you got a cool suggestion that you feel would really fit this Florida theme here in Crystal Reef County, please let me know in the comments. If you got a cool backstory or something fun you want to write as a accompanying story to the suggestion, go ahead. I'm gonna be all ears and I'll do my best to read every single comment and react to as many of them as possible. And then if there are suggestions that just instantly click with me and I fall in love, I'm gonna go all dictatorship mode and just pick that. But ideally, I'll try to get a vote going so that you guys can chime in and decide. So yeah, I just wanted to say that the suggestions, please keep them coming. I've gotten so many wonderful ones in the first episode already, so I can't wait to hear what you guys have in store. Thank you. So, for the actual layout of the city and the plan of it, I've got to be completely honest with you guys. I don't have like a pre-made plan for how we're going to do this. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I don't have fleshed out plans for my heavy detail series either, because I feel that it kind of hinders my creativity a bit when I try to pre-plan ahead. It removes a bit of humor, I guess, from my episodes as well, because I'm less prone to making something that looks wonky or weird if I've already planned ahead. And yeah, it just kind of stifles my creativity, and I find a fun challenge in just kind of winging it and just working as we go along. So we're gonna do the same here. With that said, I have a few ideas though. So I don't mind the placement of this highway because we'll need to expand the highway network here in Crystal Reef County quite a bit. This is Florida, so you know, if space is not occupied by a palm tree, a single family house with a pool in the backyard, or like a golf course, then it has to be occupied by a highway, you know, by concrete or asphalt or whatever. So we'll need lots of that. So there'll be tons of additional interchanges built throughout the county. So I don't mind the placement of this. I think the only issue is that it's a little intrusive compared to what would then be the scale of downtown here. So what I am considering as our first move is just to lower this, to create this as a sunken highway. Now, I don't know how realistic that is in Florida, given that quite a large amount of the landmass in Florida isn't all that raised above sea level. But if you guys know anything about this, please let me know. But I gotta say, I just feel like, you know, sunken highways are kind of cool, and they make for some really interesting on and off ramps to connect to the surface level street layout. So I think that's gonna be a good start for us to try. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna move it here, and I'm just gonna inefficiently click every single node. So we've got that selected, and then we're just gonna hold shift and go page down and just kind of wing how low it needs to be. So if we start here, we can grab our picker tool here and just drag this avenue across, and hopefully that should be able to give us like a basic idea of whether this is sunken enough, basically, if there's enough of a clearance. So if we just zoom in, it's pretty obvious that I miscalculated a bit, so that's fine. We will lower it a bit more. Ideally, we are going to find a prop, could be a truck of some sort, or a bus even. Maybe a double-decker bus is probably maybe the best guinea pig here. So if we have a look here, we see that we've got plenty of clearance actually. We should even be able to make it a bit higher, which we've just done. And I think I'm just gonna keep this avenue crossing in a straight line here for now. We're gonna use move it to adjust the pillar ever so slightly, and we'll remove this prop. So we've got the sunken stretch now, and one additional change I'm gonna make now, I think. Oh, I picked a palm tree. Whoops. Or a tree at least. Is I'd like to downgrade this to a a 2-lane highway. Because we are branching off from this sort of main highway that cuts through both of the big islands. It crosses the Strait of Water to into this peninsula, and then it goes south towards Indian River County. So this is like the main highway that kind of cuts through the county, and it's going to connect up future cities along these keys and islands as well. While this one is, I guess it's the actual volume of traffic we expect here is a little smaller, because I don't think it's realistic that there's going to be any crossing here. At least this is a very, very wide body of water, so it's going to be quite the bridge or tunnel to build here. A very expensive infrastructure project, which is also going to be very expensive for us to maintain in the future. So it's mainly a highway that is going to terminate somewhere down here, and it's just going to be a massive connector, basically, or sorry, arterial road, act as the main arterial for this part of the island, which is going to be pretty sprawling, lower density, I think. Maybe some like apartment condos and hotel towers here along the beachfronts, but otherwise it's going to be pretty, you know, suburban in nature. So with that reasoning, which only took me like 4 minutes to explain, but yeah, welcome to my content. I'm going to downgrade this to a 2-laner, both directions, and then don't worry, I'm going to bring them a little closer together. And I'm going to delete this end segment, and we'll just select, let's see, can we just grab these here, and align. We'll just do a little rough aligning at first, and then we will see if we need the parallel row tool, or if this is actually okay. And I want to bring it pretty close. Something like this, and it doesn't seem we have any weird clipping issues, so that's great. And yeah, this looks all right-ish. We can align this node a bit, because that is obviously looking just a bit wonky. And we'll do a little adjustment here. I don't want to spend too much time doing all this fine tuning. I just don't want it to, you know, be stick out level ugly. I mean, if it can just be like subtle ugly, then that's okay. I can live with that. It just doesn't, you know, don't want it to stick out. I hope that makes sense. Cool. We've got wow. Yeah, it's really obvious you're going right here. Not sure what I would be thinking if I was on this on-ramp, but alright, we're just gonna do a little adjustment here. Hopefully we can use node controller to just maybe smoothen things out just a bit. Seems that we've got... what's going on here? Is this a middle? Can we make this a bend? Thank you. Wow. Never mind. I'm going to not have this be a bend, but maybe a stretched... No, never mind. Middle. Fine. It's okay. I don't dare to work with that. Pretty pleased with that little change. And it's a 2-laner now. We've got some pretty weird slopes here. So if we grab our network multi-tool mod, we can say select slope mode. And let's just... Wait a minute. There's one more change I need to make before I start sloping this. This is Florida, so, you know, public transportation is like, nah, maybe, sort of. Like maybe a metro mover that goes nowhere and has no capacity. But I mean, I still think that we're gonna have some sort of regional rail cutting through the county, and we need some train stations to kind of connect up our cities. Might not be the most realistic for a Florida setting, but it also needs to be fun for us to work with, right? So we'll need to have some rail tracks, and I want them to cross the highway so that we can have a station that is relatively close to the downtown. At least it needs to be on this side of the highway. I don't want the train station to be on the other side of this sunken highway. And I know that sounds like a really sound, good urban planning principle, so it's not very realistic for Florida, but we're gonna do it anyway. So we'll choose our picker mod, and we're gonna go ahead and grab some rail here. And these are one-way tracks, which is, I guess that's all right. We'll figure it out. I think for now, we just need the connection. Oh, sorry, we just need to bring it across the highway, and then we can figure out everything else afterwards. So let's just have a look. And yeah, this kind of highlights why we needed to wait with lowering, smoothing out any of our heights. What I did there is I just selected both nodes, and then I click Control H. Would move it. It allows me to set the nodes to the height of one of these nodes. There we go. And now we can start like smoothing the slope here. But before we do that, we just need to connect this up properly. So let's see. We've got a connection here that I'd like to make. There we go. We've got a connection here that I'd like to make. And I can see I need to do a little node work to get this working. I'm wondering if it's easier to just copy paste this section here, because as you can see, the map creator has already merged the 4 one-ways into these double tracks, which is kind of what we want here at least. So if I, wait a minute, if I just grabbed one of these here, or maybe it's actually easier to just create it. We can try, and we'll see if there's a specific reason for... Oh, I just deleted a tunnel. think this might actually be alright. I can keep tweaking this for a long time, but it's probably not getting much better than this, and I think this looks alright. We can hide it up with some trees or something. I mean, that's what we do here on the channel, right? So maybe something like this. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, good enough, I guess, is probably the better term. We'll just upgrade this to some two-way road segments. And we need to do the same thing here right as we leave this tunnel, because that's gonna make this connection and this whole mess a lot easier to deal with. So we're gonna go ahead and do that as well. And maybe we can just prepare these nodes ever so slightly. And we will give it another go. By the end of this video, I should be pretty good at this process. And now it's really gonna make sense to use the parallel road. Do we actually want to do that though? Because this train line, just like the highway, is going to terminate somewhere here on the island. So it's gonna have a stop somewhere, and it's mainly going to just serve commuters or tourists in this area. So would it make sense to actually have 4 tracks? I don't think so. I think that's gonna be a little excessive. So yeah, we are going to cut that, just overall cut that down in capacity. We are going to connect this, and I can see this curve isn't all that great, so we're gonna select our network multi-tool. We'll say arrange at line mode, and I will say please give me a nice curve from this segment to, why can't I? I'm trying to give a tutorial here. I need it to work. Okay, so that's a bit of an improvement. There we go, and I'll just see if I can move these nodes ever so slightly, because the catenaries here are kind of... I need to be careful now. Let's see if no controller can save the day. Well, it helped, so that's certainly something. This is fine. It's good enough. Alright, so that is a change I'm really happy with. We'll select our picker tool, and what we are gonna do now is we need to connect this to this one, and we'll connect it to this one. Because this connection here is only really gonna work if, or is it even gonna work if we drag the, or we make the offset enormous. And maybe that's okay. Let's see. This is smooth enough, and the connection here is smooth enough as well, but trains wouldn't actually make that connection because they make it here, so yeah. Guess that's overall it's a little weird, but But if they want to, there's a smooth connection here as well now, which I guess essentially makes this connection here obsolete. But it looks cool, so we'll keep it. We're just gonna change it to, no, that's, wait, it looks cool. Do we need another reason? Nah, we don't. Looks cool, we're sticking with it. And we've got a big chunk of rock here that we're just gonna align ever so slightly. Alright, so we've now got a sort of a weird railway network, but we've also got a weird highway interchange and network here. So you know, the agenda seems to be weird, so it's kind of all adding up in a way. And we've got a few more things on the agenda for this episode to just kind of put all the good foundations in place for our no-name city. The first one is I'd like to really just get the train station placed. We might upgrade to a bigger station or revamp the entire area sometimes later, but for now I don't want to add like a massive station because those aren't all that frequent in Florida. I don't think the state is particularly known for its high capacity passenger rail. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that's the case. So we'll add a suitable station and preferably an elevated one. But we'll of course need some road networks to, you know, get started with a bit of a downtown layout here so that we've got something to place the station on. I think for now I'm just going to align a road here, a very simple one, next to the highway, and I'll just be placing this type of road throughout, just for, you know, creating like an easy starting grid, and then we can always update or rather upgrade these roads to some more special ones as we start actually building the downtown road layout. So I'm just creating some super simple ones here. We're removing some trees and we've got to pick a station now. Now with some content creator packs, we've got quite a few options available to us, which is really nice. It's not as restrictive as it used to be. And this elevated dual island platform train station with circular parking is super cool, and it's kind of what I want. So if we just place it, we can adjust the road layout to our liking. So if we grab the station and we grab the associated nodes from this road, we can just adjust this down ever so slightly. It's fine if we're really close to the highway. So something like this. And then we'll just grab our train station, or sorry, our track segment here. And let's see if we can create like a super smooth connection here. So first, let's just create an elevated segment. We'll use node controller to stretch this node out because that's gonna look a ton better. And then I'll delete this segment. I'll go and I'll grab this curve mode from Network Multitool, and there you go. And then you have a train station. How easy was that? Well, actually, that wasn't easy at all. I don't want you guys sitting out there thinking, man, he knows exactly what he wants to place, and it's easy because I'm gonna show you guys some bloopers now on the screen. I messed around with another kind of train station, a non-elevated one, because I thought that initially that would be a better fit, and it turned into a complete mess. I had a really hard time trying to get the highway connection, or rather the overpass over the sunken highway to kind of make sense. I had a hard time trying to connect the sunken highway to the downtown road layout due to not having an elevated train station. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to add this little blooper tag in to highlight that, you know, I just mess up at times and then I try and redo it all over, and that's kind of what I did with this train station. Anyways, back to the the good train station we ended up picking. With this train station being our choice, and the earlier you know, explanation of why I don't expect us to build bridges from this island, and we'll have the railway kind of terminate down here. I think we should just altogether remove this additional line here, because there's obviously ample room for trains to just completely bypass the station if they ever need to. I don't know that's the case, but in case that is, then there's plenty of room, and this line sort of doesn't really make sense. Not that we can't have it, but yeah, I think for now it doesn't really make sense to utilize that line. So this is what we'll be going with, and I guess that cleaned up our layout just a bit as well, which I'm pretty happy with. With the train station in place, let's complete more of the downtown road layout. And as I said, we're gonna pick this simple road, and we're just gonna use that for now to kind of map out the road layout, and then we will eventually be changing up the road type to something that we feel is a little more fitting. So I'm just working on creating a super simple layout for now. And I don't know why, but I think it would be pretty cool to have like a smaller street just pass under the highway interchange here. I think in time this interchange is probably just going to become more and more complicated, but I mean, they love making complicated highways in the US, so why not, right? So if we can just elevate these highway segments, then hopefully that could actually look pretty cool. Oh, that's not the right way to do it. There you go. And we'll do it for this segment as well, and this segment in here. And these two, just so that it looks correct. And we'll see clearance here is probably okay. The clearance over here is a little more critical. And I don't think we can realistically just keep raising the highway. So we'll probably need to lower this a bit instead. And I guess we'll add a bit of a curvature to it, because then it's gonna be a little easier to create the clearance that we need. So we'll just move it a bit and that should be fine. I don't want a massive clearance, it's not necessary. This is just like a small bypass road going down here. So no need to make it fancy. And we'll just make sure to connect it up here. Once again, I'll grab the forest brush to just remove some of all the vegetation here. And we've got the wonkiest of curves ever, which we'll just be fixing quickly. Adjusting these and these. Cool, so we won't have a completely flat downtown layout, and I'm happy with that. That is going to add just a bit of extra character when we start placing down the buildings. And it's gonna add a bit of a challenge as well, because of course whenever we introduce slopes, that makes placing down, you know, blocks, neighborhoods, all the more difficult. But it's also part of the fun. It creates a more interesting look altogether. Cool, I think we'll leave this for now. We'll need additional small roads, I think, here, but the overall layout is fine. We can work with that. And naturally, this makes it pretty easy for us to come over here and start mapping out some more roads. And I'll just be removing our little water tower. And some of all the detailing I've placed. I just need this road to stretch alongside the coastline here. And I'll try to keep it at some good angles so that we can easily grid off from it by having at least some straight segments in between. That should make it a little easier for us to work with. So if I go 145 here, I think that's gonna be easier. Because then it's gonna be parallel to this main avenue here. At least it should be. It is. Perfect. We're picking a simple road again, and then we'll just be mapping out some of the grid here. Alright, and this actually, I'm pretty happy with this. It's a pretty standard US grid, but it has just enough, you know, uniqueness and bendy segments and an underpass here to just add that extra bit of flair that is so often needed when you create a grid. But it means that for most of the buildings we're going to be placing, we'll have a pretty easy time when we've got these straight angles, these 45 and 90 degree angles to work with. Or sorry, not 45, 90 degrees actually is the only thing that's really easy. And then for the other more unique blocks, such as this one, we're of course gonna have to do some extra detailing. We're gonna have to use the Move It mod to get buildings to really fit in snug the way we want. Cool. So with this in place, why don't we make it a little more interesting? The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to upgrade them all to 2-lane roads. So I mean, I should just have used this road initially, But I completely forgot that this road is of course necessary if we want street side parking, which we do. So as a starter, I'll just be using this to just upgrade all of these. Maybe not this small one down here, because there are of course segments where we might want to use this more narrow road. But for now, we're just doing like a pretty rough upgrade of all of these, and then we'll change them into other segments when all this has been upgraded. And I think that's it. I think we even upgraded a little too much here, maybe. There you go. So a pretty prominent feature that you'll find in US-based downtowns in US cities are one-way roads. They use these to divert traffic easily through city cores and centers, and we're gonna do the same. So I'm gonna grab this 2-lane one-way road with trees, and we're gonna pick this Lala palm because it looks pretty good as an asset, and it's also pretty small. Some of the other trees are just massive. What I'm gonna do is I'd like to have at least one road that just crosses across the downtown core here as a one-way in one direction, and another one in another direction. So basically we're gonna, if we zoom out, so we've got Crystal Reef County here, we'll have a road moving traffic west from the coastline and towards the highway infrastructure, and we'll have one moving traffic from the highway and eastwards, or the western part of downtown to the eastern part of downtown. And as the downtown core isn't all that mapped out with the roads yet and isn't that big, the obvious candidates, if you ask me, are these two that kind of connect through the downtown area. So we'll be upgrading this one as a starter, and I think, yeah, we'll make this the westward facing road, and over here we'll make the opposite. Yoink. There you go. That already added just a bit of extra flair to the downtown, which is of course really nice. Now we could also have one-way roads that go parallel to the main avenue here cutting through downtown. So one that moves north and one that moves south. But I think given the small scale for now of the downtown area, we're not gonna do that just yet. It's also quickly going to become a bit of a mess to divert, or not divert, but direct traffic through the core here. So we'll wait with that, but there are other roads that we can use to upgrade these just to create a bit more of a unique look. So I'm gonna see if we can find some nice palm trees to use. I think this road here would be ideal as sort of this 2-lane road with trees at the median, although I am definitely not going to use those palms, so we'll try something a little different. Not gonna use the Lala palm either, because we're using that throughout some of the other roads. We've got a Chinese windmill palm. No thank you. A California young palm, which is really cool, and then the California palm, which is very, very tall, but this might just be the place to actually have these. Because this is like a nice, it's gonna be like a small avenue running alongside the beach and coastline here. What I can do to make it just a little less bulky is to increase distance here to at least 30 meters between spawned trees. And then we're just gonna upgrade this throughout, at least down till here, and then we'll see if we do something different. And I think this is a pretty good look. Ideally though, we'd probably use a larger palm variant here if we are to continue using this road at all, because we could also change to one of these just to kind of mix it up. So we've got a 6-lane here, which could be cutting through. We'll just see if it actually has parking. I don't think that's the case, and I really want that. So I'm gonna grab this one again, and then we're gonna change to this California palm for the avenue here, because It's definitely a big enough road to also carry these big palms. Sorry, this version here. There you go. We'll just have the big palms kind of cross from north to south. Then we'll choose this California young palm, and we'll have them in place here. Or actually, maybe we should have this road instead with these young palms, just for even more variation. That's nice. We can, the distance is 20, that's fine. Move this north to south. That looks incredibly odd, so we're just gonna revert that change. There you go, thank you. And these have these nice green stretches of grass, which I really like. And there you go, that actually looks pretty good. We can add cul-de-sacs here with the node controller rather easily. Don't know if it's oh, I say rather easily, but I for whatever reason messed it up. So there you have it. Just stretch it 30. We can do the same, yeah, once again, rather easily I say, but I mess it up. We might re-ramp this because this would kind of indicate that maybe we have some lower residential stuff like single family zoning in here, which we're not gonna have all that much of. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the layout we got. It's relatively simple. It looks and feels pretty realistic. It does have a bit of, you know, some odd places where the design kind of breaks up. And that's also one of the reasons I prefer this particular train station, because it has these curved parking lots. It kind of helps break up the grid a bit and the overall layout. Now we've got some pretty weird stuff going on with the parts of this highway interchange that I'd like to just update a bit before we wrap up. So I'll go ahead and pick the 2-lane highway to upgrade this segment, because if we take a look, we see that we've got a 3-lane segment here that splits into 2 1-lane segments. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd be a little scared entering this junction here. So what we're gonna do instead is we're going to upgrade this segment here to 2 lanes so that it can carry that traffic in a 2-lane configuration all the way over here, where it then naturally splits into 2 1-laners, which I quite like. Of course, we are gonna have to use node controller to possibly kind of fix up some of the stuff we've created here now. I'm thinking of even removing this node altogether. Yeah, that's fine. Let's see, node controller, and just see if we can save this without having to spend too much time. Looks pretty good. We'll have to redo the markings, that's for sure, because they certainly look a little odd by now. And there's a bit of clipping here that I would ideally want to fix. Hopefully I can just, yeah, bringing that a little closer, fixed it all up. If we pick our intersection marking tool, we can just remove the existing lines and we can draw out our own. now enough detailing. We are going to continue our highway here, moving it, stretching it south. It's not gonna continue as an elevated, sorry, not an elevated, a sunken, which is the complete opposite of an elevated piece for long or ever. But for now, we're just going to map it out, and then we can change the height rather easily when we want to. I'll use the parallel road tool here to very easily create a completely parallel stretch of highway that is completely flush with the one I already placed. Very strong tool. And of course then we'll just need to connect up these two nodes here. And we can use the union nodes mod, or tool rather, to just pick these two, and they're now connected into one node, which is awesome. So we got the highway mapped out now, and we might as well just grab this avenue here and move that across as well. Because I'm thinking that my initial thought was to actually have on and off ramps on this avenue, but given the proximity of this avenue to the actual main interchange here, where you have plenty of on and off ramp opportunities to enter the downtown core, it probably makes more sense to at least start with just connecting it up down here instead. So we'll just be grabbing the small one lane off and on ramps here, and we'll just be adding that to this interchange here. So one thing I'd like to do is just add an additional node here and here, because then I can convert these new smaller segments to non-raised, if I can pick it, but that is seemingly very tough. I mean, there is a tiny segment here. There you go. And over here I did a little too much. There you go. Perfect. Then we've got good nodes here that we can connect our ramps to. So where are those pesky ramps? We're just... What am I doing? Yeah, that... yeah, that looks really good, huh? I'll just fix that. There you go. And we'll need to have good amount of space here for these ramps. So I think initially what I'm just gonna do is I'm going to do it the right place instead of here. I think that's what I'm initially going to do. Yeah, great idea. Thank you. We'll just we'll try to go 30 degrees and 3 units, and we'll try to do the exact same thing over here. Let's see, can we go 30? Oh, it's gonna be 35 here, but that's okay. We'll kind of judge the distance here and do the same over here. It doesn't have to be perfect though. There's a bit of a curvature as well. 3 and 35 and 3 and 30. And what we'll do then is we're gonna go ahead and grab our curve mode, and we'll we can add like a small segment in here as well. Let's just go ahead and do that. And I'll just turn off all the snapping now to make sure it's kind of parallel to the highway. There you go. Now we can grab our curve mode connection tool here, and we can get our highway segments, or ramps rather. And hang in there, this is gonna look okay when we grab this node and just start adjusting it. So I'm holding down Alt, because that's gonna enable me to adjust. And what I don't want is any clipping under here, but that doesn't seem to be the case yet, so that's fine. We can do the same over here. Just dragging it, and we still don't really have any clipping. So that's very nice. What I should have done is I should have actually grabbed these nodes as well and moved with them, because they are actually the ones that can really cause the clipping. So okay, we moved it a bit, works a little better now. We'll just move this down here and then grab it and move it back a bit. We don't want any clipping. There you go. And a quick adjustment, we should actually be able to just use this arrange at line mode, pick this segment and this segment, update it. I think that looks quite all right. We could extend these to make the ramps a little longer. That would probably be just a bit more realistic. But I don't think it's unreasonable to think that this highway has a lower speed limit than like a regular highway, because it is going to move through some pretty urban and dense environments here. As it terminates out here. So I think for now this is fine. We just need a rough connection for now, and we can always make it look a little more realistic and smooth. We are going to grab our railway line here, and we're just gonna go across. Let's enable some snapping, and we're going to bring it down. We don't want it to be elevated for more than necessary. And we're at ground level now, which is perfect. And we'll just send it off into the sky. Bye bye. And ooh, this is a bit of a roller coaster. So once again, we've got our slope mode here to save the day. We've also got a really awkward curve here, so we can definitely make that look a little prettier. There we go. Just gonna move this pillar out of the way, that it doesn't clip into anything. And we'll just flip this. Very nice. This looks pretty good, actually. And with all this good infrastructure work done in this episode, it concludes everything we'll be building. We haven't placed a single house or commercial shop or anything yet, but we actually I feel we got a lot done. We've laid out much of the foundation needed to really establish this yet to be named city. Once again, encourage you all to bring suggestions in the comments, and then hopefully we can actually name the city in the very next episode. But yeah, as I said, we got a lot of stuff done. We've got much of the infrastructure now needed to start building up an actual city. So for the next episode, we are going to be placing our very first houses, our very first offices, commercial, all that good stuff. We need people to actually move in and start working at this industrial site. Where, as I also said earlier in the episode, I've got a lot of cool suggestions for the name of this. Keep them coming, and we'll make sure to rename this area as well in the next episode. So yeah, stay tuned for more Crystal Reef County. If you've stuck with me this far, thank you so much for all the support, all the good feedback, and for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.